Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Kami Gives Naruto Senju and Uzumaki Bloodline Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Before the act of betrayal. Ever since the blonde hero brought back the new Godime Hokage, things have been looking up for our blonde hero. There were no brutal and occasionally beatings, no outrageous prices that could bankrupt a Junin, and no more hostile glares for what he carried. Life was looking upwards for Naruto as he walked down the street which leads to his new Hokage's tower. Unknown to him, life was about to get better before it gets worse. Tsunade Senju wasn't having the time of her life right about now thanks to every Kage's worst enemy. Her battle with her arch-nemesis went on for long hours and the soreness of her arms was a definite sign, a sign that told her the enemy was winning. Her enemy managed to push her to the edge and made her sweat like her pet tauntaun whenever she worked out. What will it take to put you guys down? Tsunade demanded and furiously fought back against her foe. Tsunade-sama. Shizune cried worriedly as Tsunade continued her everlasting fight. Suddenly, a deep sore struck her right wrist, which forced her to cry out in pain. Ah, Shizune. I need medical attention, Tsunade said and held out her wrist. Shizune knew she had to act quickly or else her sensei might never be the same again. The Hokage's assistant quickly applied a quick healing technique to Tsunade's wrist. Thank you Shizune. Tsunade thanked and turned back to her desk. Now back to where you came from, you evil entity. Tsunade screamed. Shizune couldn't take it anymore and blocked her sight with her hands, but she couldn't help but peek through her fingers. I got you now. Take that, you evil and worthless scum. Tsunade grinned. To her frustration, the door knocked and in came Naruto Uzumaki. Hey, Ba-chan. I see you're up against a Kage's greatest foe. Naruto grinned much to Tsunade's annoyance. What ya want, brat? Tsunade asked dangerously. This monstrosity won't stay down. I see that, Naruto said then smirked, but I know how to beat it. Naruto told. A gasp escaped Tsunade's lips when Naruto confessed he knew a way to defeat her new arch-nemesis and she was desperate to know how. Tell me how to crush my worst nightmare. The paperwork's already gotten to me. Tsunade pleaded. In a flicker of the light, Tsunade picked Naruto up by the collar and shook him for answers. Kage Bunchins. Naruto answered with a grin. His answer brought about silence for a good second before understanding settled in. Oh my Kami. Shizune gasped by the simple answer. Tsunade just stood there, dumbfounded over the simplicity of how to beat her latest enemy. Thank you Naruto-kun. You freed me from the oppression of paperwork. Tsunade cheered and had a mini party to herself, but was quickly interrupted by a tap to the shoulder. Well, now that you're Hokage and beaten every Kage's enemy, can I ask you a question? Naruto asked eagerly. You just did. Tsunade deadpanned and blinked a few times. Oh, well, now that you're Hokage, I've been meaning to ask you something. Naruto informed. The way he said it raised Tsunade's eyebrow. Go ahead and spit it out. Tsunade said softly with a warm smile. Remember when I saved you from Kabuto and slammed a Rasengan to his chest? I saved your life that time, right? Naruto asked. Tsunade didn't know where Naruto was taking this, so she played along. Yes. Tsunade answered in a drawn-out way. Good. So I saved your life and beaten every Kage's enemy. So I want you to answer one of my questions with complete honesty then. Naruto stated, then took a deep breath. Do you know who my parents are? Naruto asked, or rather pleaded her to tell him. Tsunade gulped by the question. As Hokage, she already knew of Naruto's heritage. When she saw Naruto with the puppy-eye technique she wanted to tell the truth, but she had many reasons not to. If word ever gotten out about Naruto's heritage, then his parents' enemies might come out to get him. Tsunade knew it wasn't fair for the boy and she desperately wanted to help him after all he did for her in their short time together. Within 2 weeks Naruto brought Tsunade's will of fire back by finishing the Rasengan. pronounced his dream to become Hokage, which reminded her of her brother and her lover, protected her against Kabuto who used her hemophobia against her, cured her hemophobia when he nearly died for her, which is kinda strange, removed all her debts upon her inauguration of becoming Hokage by the influx of money she gained, given her hope to love again, and just recently saved her life against every Kage's worst nightmare. Tsunade just couldn't lie to him after doing so much for her. It just wasn't fair. I'm so sorry, Naruto. There's no record of your parents in any of the records we have. Tsunade lied. Shizune and Tsunade's hearts broke when they saw the defeated look on Naruto's face. What hurt them even more was when he bounced back with a fake smile. The two ladies in the room knew that smile was fake purely off their training to notice fake expressions. Naruto was good at faking expressions, but not good enough to fool his new Hokage. That's okay, but can you promise me that you'll try? Naruto asked with hope in his eyes. Tsunade nearly cracked under the pressure of guilt. Of course, kiddo. Tsunade promised softly. Naruto quickly left the office and just before he exited their sight, his fake smile turned into a heart-wrenching frown. Tsunade-sama, Shizune said worriedly. Like Tsunade, she knew of Naruto's parents and she too wanted to tell the blonde, but she knew it wasn't in her place. My Kami, that was the hardest thing I ever had to go through. It's not fair. Naruto's done far more than saved my life and beaten my newest rival in such a short amount of time. I owe it to him to tell him of his parents. Tsunade admitted solemnly, then turned to her greatest friend, Shizune. Will you get me the files on Naruto Uzumaki please? At once, Tsunade-sama. Shizune bowed and left. Not much time passed since that order and Shizune quickly came back with a thick folder in her arms. Shizune handed the folder over. Thank you, Shizune. Now how about you go catch a break? Tsunade said. Thank you, Tsunade-sama. Shizune thanked and left. The moment Shizune left, Tsunade started to skim through the folder. It didn't take long to figure out how bad Naruto's life was. What the hell? What is the meaning of this? They kicked him from the orphanage. Just because he back-talked the owner. Tsunade turned a page. Oh Kami, no. These reports are wrong, right? No ninja or even a Kage-level ninja could stay sane after 91 beatings, which 31 of them would have killed a grown man. Another page turned. First entry to the academy, huh? What? This can't be. Another turned page. Second entry to the academy. What? This is insane. A fourth page turned. Third entry to the academy. Oh sweet Kami. Why the hell did you let this go on? What the hell is going on here? Tsunade demanded and instantly her assistant came back in. What's wrong, Tsunade-sama? Shizune asked worriedly. Tsunade would have noticed the fact she gave her assistant a break if the information in her hands was correct. Take a look at this. Tsunade ordered. Shizune walked around the desk and started to skim through the folder. Instantly tears began to emerge from her eyes. Why would they do this? Shizune asked to no one in particular. Naruto walked solemnly after he was let down yet again. Naruto just couldn't help but feel sad and lonely over the fact he will probably never know his parents. Despite common beliefs, Naruto knew what he was doing during missions. He wasn't an idiot whenever it came to the career of a shinobi. He was actually quite competent in the ability to detect liars. He knew Tsunade was lying to him when he asked for the identity of his parents. In fact, he knew the Sandaime lied about not knowing his parents either. Naruto once asked the Sandaime who his parents were and his answer was always, "I'm sorry, Naruto. I don't know your parents, but they died in the Kyuubi attack," or something along those lines. It was hard to remember what was actually said all those years ago. The beatings often came with concussions and a few times shattered memories. It didn't make sense how the old man, or rather old fool, could know that his parents died in the Kyuubi attack yet he doesn't know who they are. Naruto suspected trickery and discovered the Sandaime lied to his face every time he asked. Naruto isn't the smartest of his class, but he was certainly the stealthiest and cleverest of his class. It's needless to say that to be able to hide from Anbu teams as a kid was impressive and stealthy. He remembered this one time when he snuck in the old fool's office to take a peek at what the old man knew. To say the least, Naruto wasn't happy with what he found. Flashback. 3¾ of a year ago. Naruto had snuck through the Hokage's room with nothing but socks and his usual orange jumpsuit. He knew that socks lessened the sounds his footsteps made just enough for the Anbu teams around not to hear him. After all, he visited the Hokage's office and he knew the place was usually guarded by the Anbu, but he had an ace up his sleeve. Naruto knew the schedule of Anbu team transfers. Anbu team transfers are changes in Anbu teams. The teams do get bored and tired after watching an empty Hokage's tower all day long, and new teams were transferred to relieve the Anbu teams. He found out of this piece of info by eavesdropping the Sandame's office with his enhanced hearing capabilities thanks to his furry prisoner. He often used his enhanced hearing to eavesdrop on the Sandame's conversations and, by the fates or by a stroke of luck, he overheard the schedule of transferred Anbu team schedules. He used this knowledge to time his entry to the Hokage's tower clad with everything except his sandals during one of the team transfers. He easily snuck in and took a quick peek on the old man's desk. He didn't find anything of importance, but there was one sheet of paper with a certain name on it. Minato Namikaze. Curious, Naruto picked up the sheet of paper and read it from the top to the middle. What he read angered him greatly. That bastard. He was my hero. Why did that bastard seal this damn fox into me? Why me? Why couldn't he pick somebody else? Naruto, read a bit more. I have a clan. Why the hell didn't the old man tell me? I could have searched the remains of Uzushiogakure. They're my family after all. And who the hell is Kushina Uzumaki? Naruto read some more of the paper and threw it down on the desk, not before he grumbled angrily to himself. Why me? Why couldn't it be somebody like Sasuke Tem? Why did I have to burden all the bullshit? After all, I'm the last of a clan too. He picked up the paper again and finished what he read. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. But I suck at Bunshin Jutsu. Wait. Naruto's face grew a grin so large it stretched from ear to ear. My clan specializes in Kage Bunshins and Fuinjutsu. And the memory feedback. And our massive chakra reserves. There was no words needed to express what went through Naruto's mind right there. The thought of months or even years worth of training in a single day was overwhelmingly useful. The possibilities of what could happen sprang to his brain and he knew there was no limit to what he could do. He heard footsteps from the hall. Quickly and quietly, Naruto opened the window and leapt out after he closed the window back down. I think I should keep this to myself until I get more answers. Naruto thought, and he quickly made his getaway. Naruto kept the secret of his clan to himself. No one would believe the demon is in any part of a clan. Naruto had enough of the village's crap and secretly played the fool. And boy did he play the fool very well. Right after his little discovery, Naruto memorized the hand seal needed for the Kage Bunshins and used them for various tasks. Such tasks he did consisted to read scrolls from ninjutsu to taijutsu and to even genjutsu, do the daily dishes, clean up his apartment whenever his apartment actually lasts long enough to clean, to avoid beatings, and to draw away any unwanted spies. And so Naruto started his run to the library, a place where information is common. The library wasn't a big fan of him and often kicked him out just because of what he held. He easily fixed this problem with a henge. He can effortlessly henge from the 3 basic ninjutsu scrolls he read through from the academy and Iruka. From the library, he read through hundreds upon hundreds of scrolls for any good pieces of information. He learned a lot of the wisdom and knowledge of taijutsu, hand-to-hand combat, ninjutsu, ninja techniques, the politics of the world, the history of the world, and even genjutsu when he can't use it. He knew that chakra control derived from the amount of chakra one has. Because his clan and himself held such a huge bank of chakra, he and his clan can't effectively use the simplest of genjutsu. However, his clan can continuously use higher rank techniques without any respite. Regardless whether or not he can use genjutsu, Naruto learned the secrets of genjutsu purposely to find out how to dispel them. He figured if he could focus his vast amount of chakra then explode it in every direction, he could, in theory, dispel nearly any genjutsu. After he figured out how to dispel genjutsu, his first year in the academy came by. Naruto was sure he could pass as an average student in his first year through the written portions and the ninjutsu portions of the tests. He knew throughout the scrolls he read and ferried between himself and the library that he could pass through those two portions of the test, but then came the Bunshin no Jutsu. No matter how hard he trained, he couldn't summon a single Bunshin. He freaked over that fact that he can't become a genin just because he couldn't do a single technique. Under Iruka's tutelage, the failure of a father figure, he can effortlessly perform the henge and the kawarimi. He later discovered something that startled him through an academy scroll. From that scroll, he knew from the start he was not to become a genin. He couldn't graduate without the ability to perform the Bunshin no Jutsu. From that scroll, he learned it was not possible to graduate the academy and become a ninja if he couldn't learn that single technique. Naruto couldn't believe it. He was in a rut from the start and it was all the old man's fault. Through Naruto's eyes, the old man's word was law, and if the old man said you have to perform the Bunshin no Jutsu, then you must. Naruto just couldn't believe the old man would do such a thing. Didn't he know Naruto will never be able to perform the Bunshin no Jutsu? He felt everything he discovered since his sneak in his so-called grandfather's office fall apart. But he swore he would become Hokage. He wouldn't let this go on without a fight. He vowed to himself that he will become so strong that not even the first 4 Hokages could beat him. And so he played the fool. He might fail his first year, but he might make it in his second. He will not let a single technique stop him to become Hokage. He will grow so strong without that technique the academy can't possibly reject his strength. It would be foolish to let a cage-level civilian not do missions simply over a single technique. And so began Naruto's secret life under the mask of the fool. He knew he needed more time to learn through the scrolls he ferried from the library. He certainly prepared himself mentally for the ninja world, but he isn't ready for it physically. Throughout his year, Naruto simply studied from the scrolls he took from the library, the 2 other necessary techniques, and the politics of the outside world. When his first year of the genin exams came around, he purposely failed the Bunshin no Jutsu on his first try. The next year came by and Naruto saw a perfect opportunity to learn taijutsu and weapons. In this year, he saw today's team guy. He never did interact with Lee, Neji, or Tenten directly, but he certainly spied on them from afar. He learned from the shadows a great many deal of things. He learned about the Byakugan through Neji and didn't really attempt to spy on him in fear Neji would reprimand him or do something of extreme measure if he was found. Despite the ability to hide from Anbu-level ninjas, Naruto didn't want to risk the chance of Neji to find him with the Byakugan. He heard stories of those eyes which can see through anything, and if he got caught by Neji would only bring up questions. And questions is something he can't risk to take. From Tenten, he learned how to throw kunai and shurikens correctly, and he learned he was once again realized he's sabotaged. The academy teachers purposely sabotaged him in his attempts even though he already knew he was a victim of sabotage from the start. He realized the kunai and shurikens he had received were faulty. For now, Naruto didn't have a solution to this problem and instead focus on something else. But what made him go on despite the odds against him was Lee. What he learned from Lee shocked and brought an amazing amount of awe in Naruto's soul. He learned through Lee, who has disabilities in ninjutsu and genjutsu, managed to pass through taijutsu alone. That fact alone gave Naruto hope and noticed some flaw in the politics of the academy. Naruto didn't know what it was, but he was determined to find out. Naruto wanted to graduate in this year in hopes to be teamed with Lee, but he simply knew he wasn't ready for the outside world yet. He wanted the world to learn of the amazing dead last of Konoha. And so, he failed his genin exams again. The next year taught him to regret his decision not to graduate with Lee. In came the mass of clan heirs in a single class. And in this class, a very diverse thing sprang up. His first follower, Hinata Hyuga. Naruto knew Hinata practically loved him after saving her from a trio of bullies. It hurt him that Hinata's guardian, Ko, pulled her away from him, but he knew it wasn't her fault that day. But he had no excuse to make contact with Hinata cause he had to play the fool. As much as Naruto wanted to return Hinata's feelings, he knew the villagers would take notice and take their anger out on Hinata, and there was no way he could do that to a gentle soul like Hinata. As so, he played the fool and faked his proclamation of his love to the pink-haired banshee, Sakura. To him, Sakura is just a tool for him to use to aid in his disguise of the fool, nothing less, nothing more. It certainly pained him to see Hinata's face whenever he pronounced his fake love to Sakura. He would love to return her feelings, but alas, it was not the right time. Maybe when he is in a position where he could, he would return those feelings, but the question is, will she wait for him? The blonde assumed the worst, to not feel the disappointment when Hinata rejects him because he waited too long. Onto the other clan heirs, Sasuke was different. Naruto remembered his clan's massacre very well. He heard the whispers of the demon influencing Itachi to kill his own clan. But despite Sasuke's slain family, Naruto knew his problems are much worse. He had a clan, but not just a clan that ruled a piece of the elemental nations. The Uzumaki clan. To Naruto, he must get stronger than Sasuke. He wouldn't forgive himself if Sasuke, an heir to a much weaker clan, was stronger than him, an heir to a much more powerful clan. The Uchiha clan was once said to fall by the hands of one man, and the Uzumaki clan was once said to fall by the hands of 3 of the 5 strongest villages. Even if he didn't care about pride, his namesake demanded him to prove he is stronger. And it wasn't hard. Bless you Cage Bunchins. Moved on to the other clan heirs, Naruto didn't see much competition. He quickly learned Shikamaru didn't really care about the aspect to become stronger, and his friend, Choji, followed him blindly. Naruto befriended them for the sake to fill the void in his hollow heart. It helped him cope with the hatred of the villagers when he had a few friends here and there. He noticed this generation didn't downright hate him for what he carried. Perhaps they don't know. That certainly made sense. Maybe there was some kind of protection that prevented the kids from knowing. Moved on to the rest of Konoha 12, Ino and Sakura are practically cannon fodder. Their desire for Sasuke kept them back and forced them to divert time from training to making themselves look good. Naruto thought them as fools for their idiocy. They clearly didn't sense the vibes Sasuke sent, and Sakura certainly didn't pay attention to Sasuke's introduction. Sasuke wanted to kill a person for all she knew, and Sakura was a complete fool if she cannot see that. To the Inuzuka of the batch of heirs, Kiba was just an arrogant who believed he was stronger than Naruto. Physically he might be, but intellectual-wise, good luck to Kiba, he was gonna need it. And to his female teammate, Hinata, oh sweet Hinata. There wasn't any need to worry about her. She wouldn't dare get in his way to become Hokage. In fact, if given the chance, she would help him become stronger, but he couldn't risk the villagers' hatred to descend on her for her sake. The only real threat was Shino. He was analytical and dangerous with his chakra suck-powered bugs. Despite the possession of a huge bank of chakra, against Shino it would prove useless if he couldn't be rid of his bugs. Luckily, he didn't have any worry with Shino. After Naruto saw Shino interact with nothing, made it a sink that he didn't care about power. About his generation. In a few words, his generation sucked. After he evaluated his generation, is his 3rd genin exams. He felt he was ready after all the training he stacked up for 3 years. So he actually tried to pass, but to his surprise, Mizuki Tem actually repressed his chakra for his Bunshin no Jutsu. Why would Mizuki do this? The only actual time he tried to pass his exam he winded up hindered by Mizuki. Naruto pretended not to notice and once again played the fool, but what caused Naruto to crash was Iruka's words, "I'm sorry Naruto, but you failed." He felt heartbroken. It just wasn't fair. Naruto actually tried to pass only to get suppressed by Mizuki. Couldn't Iruka tell he was being sabotaged? He was a freaking Chunin. He should have known Mizuki sabotaged his test. His faith in Iruka shook since that day, but to his surprise and grown anger Mizuki came up to him and told him a second way to pass. Now Naruto knew right then and there that there was no second way to pass the Genin exams. If there was, then why didn't this chance show up the first 2 runs through the academy? Why didn't he know this through his 3 years of gathered information of the world? He knew something was up, but didn't let Mizuki notice and played the fool. He listened to Mizuki who told him to steal the scroll of forbidden sealing. Naruto followed his command to the letter. He knew he could get in trouble if he got caught, but he had to put himself on the line in order to expose Mizuki for the traitor he is. There wasn't a single shred of belief in the villagers if he spread the word of Mizuki's betrayal. If he did this, then he would have the greatest chance to send Mizuki behind bars. And so, Naruto stolen the forbidden scroll and learned a technique as ordered. Inside the scroll, he recognized the cage bunchins, and since he already knew it, he moved on to a different technique. The next technique was, "Nah, it'd only spoil something awesome if I told you that." Well, after he studied the mysterious technique, Iruka came around and scolded him about stealing the scroll. He wanted to talk back and tell him that Mizuki was the one who put him up to this, but then Mizuki came around and pinned Iruka to a wall with a hail of kunais. The bastard turned him and sneered at him for being the Kyuubi. Newsflash. He already knew that, but what shattered his heart was when Mizuki told him Iruka hated him because he killed his parents. It was not true, was it? Was that why Iruka never seemed to notice Mizuki sabotage his Genin exams? It was true, wasn't it? Iruka would have said something when Mizuki sabotaged his test. Iruka should have noticed Mizuki sabotaged his test, but chose not to say anything. Both of them are Chunins and both of them should have realized the other did something. What Mizuki said made sense. Iruka hated him too. Iruka tried to say crap about he didn't see him like that, but Naruto knew Iruka lied. Naruto knew they had to be lies. Iruka doesn't care about him, he was just like the villagers. And when Mizuki threw that big shuriken at him, Iruka did something Naruto never expected. Iruka used himself as a human shield. His tears stopped falling, if not momentarily, as Iruka told him the truth. Naruto didn't know what to believe. The blonde ran as he heard Iruka's pleas to believe him. And so, Naruto ran through the forest doing who knows what. He couldn't stop. Trust was hard to come by to Naruto as he sped through the forest, but somehow, he started to overhear the 2 Chunins talk between them. And what he heard shook him to his core. Iruka truly does care for him. But didn't he know Mizuki sabotaged his test? But he quickly forgotten that part when Iruka claimed Naruto was a lot like himself. Naruto felt touched, even with his emotional defenses, that Iruka played like a baka much like he did. Disbelief etched itself on Naruto's face as he listened in on their conversation. And when Mizuki was about to kill Iruka, something inside Naruto snapped. Rage filled his mind and he stepped out on top of a tree branch. Mizuki talked and talked, but Naruto didn't hear anything. He only listened in on what Iruka said, and so Naruto snapped. "If you lay a finger on my sensei again, I'll kill you." Naruto had roared and formed a pair of hand seals. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. About 100 clones formed in an instant that surrounded Mizuki and Iruka. The look on Mizuki's face was priceless as his screams echoed in the forest as Naruto and his clones overwhelmed the Chunin by sheer numbers. And when he was done, Iruka shocked the blonde twice in one day. He gave him his headband. Naruto's mask cracked that day when Iruka did a small shred of kindness for him. He couldn't help but hug the lights out of Iruka, but there was always a single shred of doubt in Naruto's mind. Iruka still should have noticed Mizuki sabotaged his genin test, but maybe. Just maybe. Iruka never did see it. And after the business with a whole bunch of stuff, quickly came the Sandame's grandson. Little Konohamaru was too naive in Naruto's opinion, but he enlightened him a bit by showing him the true path of the Hokage. There are no shortcuts to become Hokage and yada, yada, yada. And then he became his apprentice. Huh, how strange. But oh well. Oh, and he taught little Kono the sexy jutsu. In his opinion, the sexy jutsu is a jutsu worthy of being a kinjutsu. He knocked out the Hokage with it, for crying out loud. Why can't the people see its value despite its perverted quirks? Oh well, they're just stupid and let them be stupid. It'll help him have no competition of becoming Hokage. As he taught the Sandame's grandson his perverted technique, he always wondered what it would be like if he ever trained a team. But he doubted anyone would let their kids get trained by the demon brat. It didn't seem likely. And then the business with Ebisu, the special Junin, came and passed with him defeating the special Junin with cage bunchins and his sexy jutsu. The new harem jutsu easily took out the closet pervert in one go. Ding, 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 ding. Another kinjutsu added to his collection. Maybe he should be more like Orochimaru and gather and design more kinjutsus. Then came his team. His team consisted of Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi. In other words, useless fangirl, traitor, and a bigger traitor. Naruto's hatred of Sakura grew when she admitted she thought him as an annoyance when he hanged himself as Sasuke. Damn the stupid expired food he ate. He was desperate for food that day and he had to drink expired milk. It didn't help when the villagers would overprice his expired goods. There was a good chance Naruto would have told Sakura off about his real self. Sasuke became a bigger prick when he gets all the training Naruto wanted. It wasn't fair that Kakashi devoted all his time to the damn Uchiha and didn't bother to give a glance, or even a scroll to him or Sakura. Talking about the copy ninja, Kakashi was a huge prick to the blonde. He always would give what he wanted to Sasuke. Why? Why Sasuke? Bah, forget the Hatake and the Uchiha. Naruto could always topple the Uchiha in everything. During his time in spying on Team Guy, Naruto's taijutsu was always a notch higher than Sasuke. During his first year, he noticed slips of paper that reacts to chakra, signifying what element he got, and he gotten everything the Uchiha's weaknesses are. Sasuke has fire and lightning, but Naruto has wind and water. Already, Naruto possessed a huge chakra reserve and backed with his superior elements there was no way for Naruto to lose. Not only does he have the elemental advantage, Naruto possessed the cage bunchins, meaning numbers and a superior training regimen too. Naruto's gotten Sasuke beat in nearly everything through numbers, reserves, elements, and cleverness. All Sasuke has on Naruto is the Sharingan and the power of Genjutsu, if he ever had any. Naruto, in theory, can dispel any hand-seal-based genjutsu by exploding his already massive reserves to disrupt the jutsu, and the Sharingan isn't helpful when your opponent is faster, stronger, longer-lasting, superior intellect, and far higher numbers. Naruto is simply stronger, faster, and smarter. There is no way Naruto could lose to Sasuke. Then came Team 7's first C-ranked mission. The mission started off with the old drunk Tazuna. The man seemed innocent enough to Naruto, but when the two Chunins called the Demon Brothers came around, the true colors of the old drunk showed up. Naruto was sure he could take on the Demon Brothers on his own. Overwhelm the two Chunins with cage bunchins and in the midst of chaos slip in some explosive tags. The surprise in number of clones should give enough time to let the explosive tags to take effect. That should be enough, but he never had his chance because he had to play the fool. He knew the copy ninja, a Junin, shouldn't have died against two Chunins even with the element of surprise on the Chunin's side, and he turned out to be right when Kakashi came out and slaughtered both Chunins. After a faked wince when Kakashi investigated his wound, Kakashi questioned Tazuna about the mission parameters. It turned out that Tazuna lied and revealed his story. Naruto's heart cried out to him and he pleaded to keep the mission going. It certainly helped to have the Tem back him up to not be showed up and a fangirl who agrees with said Tem. Naruto grinned when Kakashi let the lie slide and allowed the team to move forward. Then came Zabuza and Haku. The demon of the mist certainly gave Kakashi a hard time. Naruto wanted to help, but kept his mask of the fool throughout the battle. Only when he came up with the plan to use Fuma shurikens to force Zabuza into releasing Kakashi did Naruto allow his mask to slip. And his plan worked to perfection. It would have been better if he was allowed to water walk to prevent his cloths from getting wet, but keeping his mask on was more important. Man, the water was cold. After Haku, the fake hunter Nin, came by and saved Zabuza by paralyzing him with Senbon needles, the team went to Tazuna's home. There, they met the beautiful Tsunade and her son Inari. At first, Inari was a bit of a prick, but a few words from Naruto and Kakashi set him straight. Oh yeah, Naruto also overheard the copy ninjas talk with the brat. It certainly told Naruto of Kakashi's slight fondness with him, but Naruto still couldn't help but feel betrayed when Kakashi chose to train Sasuke more than him. And then the tree walking exercise. Naruto already knew of the tree walking exercise, but he had to play the fool. He could have beaten Sakura on his 63rd try. The 63rd try was the first time he ever did the tree walking exercise in everyone else's sight, but he purposely put less chakra on the soles of his feet to make himself look like a fool. It was all an act. And so, he purposely trained in the tree walking exercise again. When Kakashi left them to whatever his business, Naruto formed 100 or so Kage Bunshin to train in secret, away from Sasuke's sight. Each of the clones hanged themselves and walked around Wave Country in hopes of finding something to train themselves or to get some scrape of knowledge. What they found was Gado's corruption of an innocent land. Naruto wanted to do something drastic over Gado's hold on Wave, but he couldn't risk allowing his team to find out about his secret powers. Naruto guessed he was at least Chunin in strength, but he knew he couldn't take on a Junin-level ninja like Zabuza. And so, the clones discovered the how bad Wave had it, but it was nowhere near as bad as he lived in Konoha. Naruto felt compelled to save these people, but his secrets are more important. For now, his clones did what they could, helped those who need help, fended off common bullies, saved lives that needed saving, but his clones wasn't enough. He needed Gado removed from play to save these people. And his opportunity came when he came to the bridge that one fateful day. But before then the real Naruto met Haku. Haku was a nice boy, or girl, or whatever she was, but she was certainly nice. Naruto wanted to do so many things with his first real friend, a friend who he can share plenty with, but it wasn't to be because of Haku's dead end purpose in life, Zabuza. He knew killing Haku would be hard, but Naruto wanted to save Haku from his position and possibly give him a life in Konoha. But it was too late to do anything when the time came to fight. He fought Haku on with Sasuke. Naruto wasn't sure he could take on Haku on his own, and with Sasuke around, he couldn't do any high-level techniques he knew. Sasuke would only copy them when he awakened his Sharingan. He did not want the Tem to copy his moves regardless of their situation. After getting pelleted with Senbon needles, which didn't hurt much to Naruto mind you, he was beaten relentlessly and he sort of developed a high pain tolerance. Sasuke awakened the Sharingan after getting enough Senbon needles to be called a porcupine. Eventually the fight escalated and Naruto took a bunch more hits and nearly fell unconscious. He had to be saved by Sasuke, but it came with Sasuke slipping into unconsciousness. Naruto snapped. Sasuke was the biggest prick in the universe, in Naruto's opinion, and he was his to kill. Haku might have been a good friend in the shortest amount of time, but that was it. Sasuke was Naruto's kill and suddenly he felt empowered. He felt bloodlust. He felt the need to kill. He didn't know what this feeling was, but he felt a huge urge to beat the crap out of something. And he beaten Haku to a blood pulp in about a good 10 seconds flat. A few punches in the right mirror managed to knock him out of it. Naruto had a chance to kill Haku, but he stopped. Haku was Naruto's only real friend. Shikamaru and the others were only fillers to him, something to keep him busy, and purposely fooled himself into believing he had friends, much like how a genjutsu works. Except he let himself get caught. He couldn't kill Haku, his first real friend. Naruto wanted to save Haku from her predicament. But it wasn't to be when Kakashi killed him on the bridge, albeit the copy ninja wasn't watching, but Naruto knew the copy ninja should have more control over his killing technique. In Naruto's eyes, Kakashi is a fool and a traitor to all he stood for. Naruto saw how uncontrollable his lightning technique was and knew that the Reikiri was very dangerous. Kakashi was a big fool for using that technique, and look at the result. It killed Haku, an innocent, a friend. Naruto hated Kakashi that day. The Junin should have noticed the Chunin level Haku before Haku threw himself at him. The Sharingan can easily perceive Haku's speed, as evident of Sasuke's poor control of the Sharingan. If Sasuke could see Haku, even for a little bit, then Kakashi can 10 times better. Kakashi is a fool. Naruto saw that. Kakashi should have noticed Haku so much earlier with his Sharingan, and Haku paid the price for Kakashi's idiocy. Naruto only wanted Kakashi's training before the finals in the Chunin exams because Kakashi was all he had. Naruto hated Kakashi that day. After the death of Haku, Gato made his debut and spewed crap about Haku. Naruto wanted to mutilate his army of bandits, and he could if he wanted to, but his mask prevented him from doing so. But is it worth keeping his mask on if it could save lives like Haku? Naruto wasn't sure and kept his mask on. He was used to having the mask on anyways. Zabuza charged at Gato, killed all his bandits and finished Gato off. Naruto was happy Gato was dead, but it came with Zabuza's death. Naruto couldn't help but blame the stupidity of Zabuza's sacrifice. Kakashi, Zabuza, and a swarm of Naruto clone could have taken out the bandits and Gato, but no. Zabuza had to be an idiot and kill himself just to get to Gato, but that didn't mean Naruto wanted to save Zabuza. Hell, Zabuza could rot in hell for all Naruto cared, but Haku was all that mattered at this point. At least Zabuza had a heart to care about Haku. Naruto was grateful for that. After so many goodbyes from the people of Wave, Naruto and his so-called team left Wave, not before Naruto sent a clone to retrieve his free ramen coupon. The clone apparently saw the name of the bridge. The Great Naruto Bridge. A bridge named after him staggered him for quite a good while, but seriously, getting a bridge named after him felt good. Take that Sasuke Tem. After he gotten back the ramen coupon in secret, the team made it back to Konoha, where he meet a sequenced number of people in the Chunin exams. The Chunin exams. Apparently, Naruto saw the genjutsu on the sign and wanted to walk up the next flight of stairs, but Sasuke had to be an idiot and tell everyone of its existence. Fool, didn't he see the point of the genjutsu, to weed out the weak? If one couldn't dispel a genjutsu, then that person doesn't deserve to become Chunin. Sasuke's idiocy rose about a good 4 notches that day in Naruto's handbook. Then came the strongest genin, in Naruto's opinion, Rock Lee. After a small encounter between Sasuke and Lee back with the genjutsu issue, Lee followed his team in hopes of challenging Sasuke. Naruto felt jealous that people would consider Sasuke a greater threat, but he found a great opportunity to promote his Mask of a Dead last. Naruto thought he could give Lee a run for his money, but his mask was more important. After all, Lee could give even a good Junin a good run for his money in a straight-up fight. The 8 gates are a deadly thing. But his mask needed promotion, and so he fell as easy prey to a sweep of his leg, but Naruto stayed conscious to see Sasuke getting beaten. It certainly brought a smile to his face when Sasuke got kicked in the chin. Then came the bigger version of Lee, Miyato guy. The guy was freaking awesome with that turtle summon, and the summon gave Naruto a good idea. He needed a summon if he was ever going to become strong. After the business with 2 of Team Guy, Team 7 entered the first part of the exams. Naruto certainly sweated a bit by Ibiki's interrogation techniques, but he knew the purpose when he read the impossible questions. Seriously, who knows what the trajectory of a speeding kunai going on 50 miles per hour or whatever the problem demanded? Serious, only a Sakura would know that. Yeah, a Sakura. Sakura is now a thing after all the following she did for Sasuke. But what gave Naruto hope was a little help from Hinata. Seeing Hinata letting him cheat off her gave him hope that she still likes him romantically. Perhaps there could be something between the two them yet. But he couldn't cheat off of Hinata. That would only get both of them kicked out, and that is something he cannot risk. But then the 10th question came. Oh Kami, that was a harsh day. The bullets Naruto sweated that day could fill a bathtub. It was that bad. Even his confident mask took a harsh blow by that ridiculous question. Seriously, how could he risk the career of his shinobi life if he failed the question? How could he do the same with his teammates and Hinata? That is till Hinata started to raise her hand. Sakura was behind Naruto at the time, and so Naruto didn't see her raise her hand, but watching Hinata slowly raise her hand absolutely crushed Naruto. He had to do something drastic. Now, drastic. He had to do something big. He exploded on Ibiki. He shouted that he didn't care, that he would become a genin for life. He will become Hokage even if it means staying as a genin for life. Somehow, someway, he'll become Hokage by becoming the strongest genin in history if he had to. He was glad he exploded. It stopped Hinata from raising her hand. That made him happy. He didn't want Hinata to fail because of confidence issues. And after his explosive protest, Ibiki laughed and passed everyone. Naruto couldn't help but cheer and smile. He passed. He passed as nobody expected him to. And the best part is that he never written a single answer on his test. Those questions was hard, even to his standards. So he did the Nara thing and didn't bother with it. It was too troublesome. Then came the crazy snake lady of the Forest of Death. Naruto knew of her harsh life, but couldn't interfere. The villagers would fear the demon brat and the snake's apprentice even more if they collaborated together. It wasn't smart to trigger the villagers' hatred. He definitely wanted to get to know the crazy snake lady more, but once again outside forces continued to interfere in his life. Then came the second part of the exams. Naruto could have taken charge, but in the first moments he really had to go. Literally, there wasn't any time for a bathroom break. Thanks crazy snake lady for the time limit. And so, he got jumped while doing his business. It wasn't smart in his opinion, but he couldn't help it. If he needed to go, then he needed to go. And after he got ambushed, he freed himself and returned with his team, only to be blown away by a futon jutsu by the Sannin Orochimaru. The technique launched him near a giant snake. Man, that snake was big, but was beaten when killed by a mass of clones within its belly. Naruto knew that was a summon by the snake Sannin when it dispelled, and he knew his teammates was in trouble. Damn it. Why now? Why does it have to happen in his Chunin exams? He really wanted to become Chunin and hopefully Hokage, but if his teammates dies, then he'll never become Chunin. Naruto leapt through trees until he finally saw Sasuke giving up their scroll. What the hell? That's his ticket to become Chunin. Sasuke has no right to pass that scroll even if there was a godlike pedophile standing right next to him, who eyed Sasuke like a delicious delectable piece of man meat. Now Naruto wasn't confident he can take on the Sannin, but with his secret technique. There might be a chance, but he never gotten the chance to use it when Orochimaru's snake summons frightened Sasuke. The Tem got scared. Naruto had to save his by using a bit of the Kyuubi's chakra. But that pedophile bastard sealed the fox away from him. It was a cheap move, but perhaps if he remained conscious and used his secret technique, then maybe there would be a chance. But it never happened when all he saw was black. Next thing he awoken up to was the feeling of dread. Sure, the Kyuubi was temporarily sealed off him, but Naruto was stronger than what people normally believed and awoken earlier than normal. He knew the dreaded feeling felt so much like the pedophile's work, and he knew that the warped and tainted chakra Sasuke emitted was evil. He was awake when Sasuke broke Zaku's right arm. Didn't he hear Zaku's pleas for him to stop? Sasuke Tem apparently didn't care and broke his arms anyways. Naruto would have let Zaku go after his pleas, but Sasuke apparently had to break them. Naruto chose not to do anything because there was other Leaf Ninja around. He couldn't risk waking up and getting into a fight with Sasuke with that tainted chakra leaking from him. But to his disappointment, Sakura managed to calm him down. Seeing Sakura hug the bastard cemented his belief Sakura will never change. Naruto knew loving Sakura was a bad move, and thankfully he chose not to. After the Sound Nins left, Naruto chose to reveal himself and get the team back to the tower after getting a pair of scrolls from the Sound and Rain Ninja teams. The preliminaries came next, but before then was the politics of the world and how the Chunin exams work. Naruto already knew of all this beforehand and didn't really care. It helped to study how the world works with Kage Bunshins. Then came a bunch of fights for the prelims. Sasuke's fight was too easy in Naruto's opinion. Naruto remembered the feeling of dread when he awoke in the forest death. That means he didn't know of the curse seal. Yet, that Yoroi guy was too easy and only showed the power to suck on chakra. Seriously, Naruto has Kage level reserves. There was no way Yoroi was going to absorb all his chakra if they ever fought without getting a beating from Naruto. After the match between that Yoroi guy and Sasuke, Naruto watched Kakashi whisk the traitor away. What made Sasuke so special? That damn Kakashi didn't even bother to watch his match, nor the Sakura match. Damn the copy ninja. Forget him. Don't forget, Sakura is now a thing in Naruto's eyes. With Kakashi gone, Naruto watched the rest of the fights with interest. Shino and that Zaku guy's match was sort of interesting. Naruto saw Shino used his intellect and his bugs to plug up Zaku's holes. The backup plan was a good idea in Naruto's opinion. Naruto found Kankuro's match interesting. The trick with the puppet definitely given Naruto ideas about the chakra strings Kankuro used for his puppets. If Naruto could learn chakra strings, maybe he could come up with some new pranks. The Sakura and the Ino match, yeah, Ino is also a thing too, was a complete waste of time in Naruto's opinion. Naruto only cheered the Sakura on because it was a team-like thing to do. And it helped promote his mask. Tenten and Temari's match showed Naruto some uses for his futon jutsus. If there was one thing Naruto lacked in despite his 3 years of training, it was experience. The idea of Temari using her futon jutsu to divert a markswoman like Tenten's weapons away with ease gave Naruto a few ideas. Shikamaru's match with Kin was awesome. Naruto liked Shikamaru's cleverness against Kin's genjutsu, but Naruto thought Shikamaru could have dispelled Kin's genjutsu with a good burst of chakra. Serious, Asuma-sensei, what have you been teaching your students? He should have taught them how to dispel genjutsu. Then came Naruto's fight with Kiba. Alright, yeah, finally. Naruto wanted to show off a little of what he can do, and this is a perfect opportunity. But the problem came around when Naruto tried to form Kage Bunshins. What the hell? What happened? He tried to form enough Kage Bunshins to fill the room, but to his horror only 4 came out. What happened? The one time he found a good opportunity to show off, he had to be hindered. It wasn't fair. So Naruto took a good beating from Kiba. It wasn't nearly as painful as the villagers' beatings were. The villagers would do much worse than what Kiba did to him, and so Naruto shrugged his blows off. And when he formed his Kage Bunshins came the birth of the Naruto Uzumaki barrage. Sure, Naruto copied a bit by Lee's frontal lotus, but Sasuke did it first. Who cares if Naruto did it second? With that combo, Naruto won and entered the finals. Then came the fight Naruto dreaded to watch. The fight between Hinata and Neji. He watched as Neji put Hinata down and crushed Hinata's confidence. Naruto hated Neji. He spied on he bastard long enough to notice his true colors and he didn't like what he saw. When Hinata nearly gave up, Naruto couldn't bear to see that. He shouted at her to not give up. He couldn't bear to see the girl who liked him give up, not to that bastard. When Hinata lost, Naruto still felt proud of her. He saw Hinata didn't give up, he was so proud of her. He wished he was on Hinata's team, but it was not to be. After Hinata lost, Naruto vowed to beat Neji to a blood pulp. The bastard was too cold for Naruto's tastes, and when his match comes, Naruto was going to cripple Neji for life. No one does that to Hinata and gets away with it. Putting aside his desire to beat Neji into a bloody puddle, Naruto watched Lee's fight with Gaara. Naruto knew Gaara was bad news when he saw him after his brother picked on little Kono. The stare he gave to Naruto felt familiar. He felt a connection with Gaara. He didn't know what it was, but seeing his inspiration fight against Gaara, he knew Lee was going to lose. It's tragic, but he knew Lee was going to lose against a fellow Jinchuriki. Dosu and Choji's match was another complete waste of time. Sorry Choji, but in Naruto's opinion, he should have been a civilian. It would have made everything easier. After the Chunin exams, Naruto asked Kakashi for training. The man was his only source of decent training, but the damn copy ninja blew him off, saying his chakra control was horrible. That is a huge lie. Naruto's chakra control was greater than Sasuke's. At least Sasuke can't walk on water yet. And what's worse is he sent him off to Ebisu. The special Junin was nothing special, and Naruto could have killed him 6 months ago when he was bleeding from his nose. That day, Naruto hated Kakashi even more for favoring Sasuke over him. Again. After finding the stupid special Junin, Ebisu took him to the hot springs, where he met Jiraiya. In short, Jiraiya beat an Ebisu with ease. In all honesty, he hated Jiraiya for being the sensei of the Yondaime Hokage. He only saw use of the Gamma Sanin because of his Toad contract. The meeting with Maida Guy reminded him of his need for a summoning contract. He'll definitely become stronger with one of the 3 great summoning contracts, but before he could sign it, he had to walk on water. Again. Something was wrong, terribly wrong when he tried walking on water again. He fell in. What happened? His match with Kiba should have been a sink, but now water walking was giving him issues. What the heck? He used to be able to do cartwheels on water. Why can't he do it now? His answer came when Jiraiya noticed the 5-element seal on his abdomen. Oh, how could he not have noticed that? The idea of Fuinjutsu came to his mind. Maybe he'll learn that later. Well, Naruto was somewhat thankful of Jiraiya after finding out his issue. Naruto could have told Jiraiya about his water-walking capabilities, but his mask demanded that he keep his secrets hidden from the Gamma Sanin. It wasn't smart to let the Sandaime Hokage know of Naruto's plans through Jiraiya. There was no doubt that if Jiraiya knew of his true strength, then Jiraiya would probably tell the old fool about his powers. So he lied and pretended to fall in. He had a good month to learn, and before his next day, he sent in a dozen or so Kage Bunshins to learn a few things. He tried to learn the chakra strings Kankuro used in his prelims match, but to no avail. He didn't have the refined chakra control necessary to use them. Maybe later he'll have the potential to use them. He knew that puppetry needed chakra strings, and Naruto often wondered if those strings can have other uses. Maybe someday he'll learn that. He already knew of a few futon ninjutsu, so getting help from Temari wasn't going to happen. Later, a clone of his watched the battle between the Leaf Special Junin that proctored the Chunin exams prelims and the Sand Junin Baki. Naruto wanted to help his fellow Leaf Ninja, but his mask is more important. Or was it? He remembered he kept his mask on while Haku died. Should he have let his mask slip to save this Leaf Ninja? He regretted not saving the Leaf Ninja when he heard the special Junin had a lover, Yugao Azuki. Naruto regretted not doing something to save him just to spare Yugao the heartfelt pain. Maybe he should abandon his mask to preserve as many lives as possible. But he wasn't ready to face the world yet. He assumed he should be at least cage level before he remove his mask of the fool, but is it worth sacrificing a few lives? That question will forever be burned in Naruto's mind. He promised himself he'll go talk to Yugao after he reached his goal, or when he's ready, whichever is sooner. But he couldn't help but get angry at the Sandaime. Couldn't his Anbu see this action going on? If a genin saw this all go down, then practically all of Anbu should have known. But maybe, he should be angry at himself. He swore to himself he'll make it up to Yugao as quickly as possible. But that wasn't the only fight he watched during this month. He watched Dosu tired to kill Gaara, but was ultimately killed by him. The fool. He later found out Gaara is a fellow Jinchuriki when he tried to assassinate Lee in the hospital. Unknown to Shikamaru and Gaara, that Naruto clone was just a Kage Bunshin watching over the hospital where Yugao was hospitalized for an attempted suicide. He regretted not doing anything to save Hayate, the proctor of the second Chunin exam's prelims. Naruto felt like he owed Yugao for not saving her lover when he had the chance. He wanted to make it up to Yugao soon. He lent that one Kage Bunshin to watch over Yugao in hopes that'll make things a little even between them. But he knew it nearly wasn't even close to being close enough. He hoped Yugao would forgive him. But back with Lee, Gaara tried to kill him, and that's when he told Naruto, or rather a clone of him, that he is a fellow Jinchuriki. Only a Jinchuriki would ever suffer a village's hate. Gaara is just like him. Naruto felt happy that there are others like him, but he also felt saddened that his kind had to suffer the same fates. Hated, beaten, spitted on, possibly raped, and so much more danger. He wanted to help his kind. He wanted to save all the Jinchurikis he could save. But he wasn't ready to do so yet. He's not strong enough to help anyone. Then came the finals of the Chunin exams. Naruto felt he was more than ready to become Chunin by this point. Heck, he could possibly give a Junin a run for their money by now. He was happy his match was the first one. That means he didn't have to wait to pound Neji into the ground. And so their match started. Naruto knew of the Hyuga's style of fighting quite well when he read a scroll about them, and the match between the two Hyugas in the prelims. Naruto did his homework and knew that Neji was a close-range taijutsu fighter who closes off chakra points. But Naruto was good enough in taijutsu to at least push Neji on the defensive. But he didn't want to. He remembered, through his investigations with his Kage Bunshins, that there was an invasion that was going to happen. It wasn't hard to notice the Sand siblings' behaviors and the Sound Ninja's lack of presence. The Sand siblings were tense all around Konoha, and Naruto knew something was up with them. And the Sound Ninja's disappearance definitely told Naruto something was definitely up. And one of his clones actually caught a glimpse of the legendary snake Sanin and Kabuto Yakushi together. The clone only acted natural and didn't bother to eavesdrop. He felt angry when he found out Kabuto is a traitor, but he saw use of Orochimaru. With Orochimaru's presence in Konoha, he knew something bad is going to happen, and he's going to use Orochimaru's presence to help in his nice plan. The plan was simple, but that is a story for another time. After beating Neji in the Chunin exams finals, Naruto wanted to cripple Neji as planned, but one of his Kage Bunshins saw a look on Hinata's face. That look told Naruto Hinata was very worried for both of them. Naruto didn't want to cripple Neji to see Hinata in pain, hence, why he spared Neji a life of a cripple. After his match, Sasuke should have showed up to fight Gaara. The damn coward even got his match postponed. Of course. Favoritism for the Uchiha. It always happens. Sasuke this, Sasuke that. It's always Sasuke who gets everything Naruto wanted. And it looks like Sasuke didn't even care. Throwing aside his anger, he saw Kankuro giving up his match to Shino. Right then and there, Naruto knew the invasion was true. When Kankuro gave up, that was a sign of him to not want to reveal his jutsus and tools. Naruto easily saw through the ruse. Afterwards, Naruto watched Shikamaru's match against Temari. To say the least, Naruto was greatly impressed by Shikamaru's claims that he was 5 steps ahead. At first, he didn't believe him, but later agreed that it was the Nara in him. And the fact the Nara didn't want to hurt the girl and didn't want to fight in the future matches. Then came Sasuke's match against Gaara. The bastard had to make a grand entrance to make himself look cool. Well, that's not going to help against Naruto, let alone a fellow Jinchuriki. Kakashi was a total fool for teaching Sasuke his signature technique. Even though Sasuke had the elemental advantage over Gaara's sand, lightning chakra takes far higher chakra control than the Uchiha possesses to beat a Jinchuriki. A person can't outlast a Jinchuriki in any normal fight, and lightning chakra eats up a lot of chakra. The amount of chakra necessary to generate a high enough density of lightning is too high with a stamina like Sasuke. Sasuke's match with Gaara was another waste of good time, but Naruto's foresight came true when smoke bombs were unexpectedly triggered in the cage's box. And all around him, feathers started to fall. He knew it was a genjutsu, but didn't bother to dispel it. It would have revealed his true skill if he ever shown he can dispel a genjutsu. He fell asleep in the middle of a battle, only to awaken when Sakura dispelled the genjutsu for him. He saw Sakura trying to dispel the genjutsu on Shikamaru, only to find him actually awake. Now Naruto knew that Shikamaru knew how to dispel genjutsu that moment. He should have been asleep, but since he was awake the whole time, maybe his sensei, Asuma, actually did teach him how to dispel genjutsu. Who knew Shikamaru would actually learn how to? But his quick revelation was quickly squashed when he was unsurprisingly ordered by Kakashi to get Sasuke back. In all honesty, Naruto would have taken the opportunity to kill Sasuke on that mission, but the backlash wasn't worth it. Besides, Gaara might actually do the job for him. And after getting through Kankuro and Temari, Sakura and Naruto found Sasuke within an inch of his life as Gaara beaten the bloody crap out of him. Naruto, for one, was actually happy Sasuke took a beating for a change. Man, he's getting sadistic. And quite a long fight with Gaara later, Naruto finally beaten him with a bunch of Kage Bunshins, Gamabunta, and a little of the Kyuubi's chakra. And some heartfelt words from Naruto got Gaara to change his views on life. Naruto wanted to save Gaara from a life of torment, but he couldn't do anything other than giving a few words of advice. It was the only thing he could do at the moment. But at the same time, his clones was doing something nobody was suspecting. They were stealing jutsu from everyone they could. In secret, of course. When Naruto formed hundreds upon hundreds of clones when he fought with Gaara, tons of them split from the fight to go back to Konoha. There, they began to pillage the village of its secrets by utilizing the Henge no Jutsu to transform into a scroll, ink, and writing utensil. The Kage Bunshins would use the Henge scrolls, ink, and brush to copy hundreds and hundreds of techniques from each clan and from the Forbidden Scroll. It was perfectly done. Naruto can hide from Anbu teams at an early age, and it helped to have Orochimaru wreak his village to create a distraction for him. After copying all the techniques he could from all the clans in the Forbidden Scroll, the clones would cover their tracks and return to a rally point for all his clones, his apartment. Using his superior and godlike stealth, the clones written down every single technique they could copy onto a large scroll that equals the Forbidden Scroll in size he stolen from during the invasion. After the clones copied all the techniques down, the Kage Bunshins and the transformed scrolls, ink, and brushes all dispelled, thus removed any possible evidence that Naruto committed that act. He was going to learn from that scroll later and become truly stronger with all those techniques. With the powers of all the clans, he'll become unstoppable. Then, he'll be able to help all the people in the world. But first, he needed to pretend to mourn. Naruto lost all love and faith of the old man ever since his failures to protect him. In Naruto's eyes, the old man's word is law, and if not, then he should put down all traitors for the leaf. If the Sandaime can't protect a single child, then the Sandaime isn't very strong in Naruto's eyes. Naruto only ever respected his shinobi skills despite his old age, but that's about it. He held no love nor care about mourning the old man. The only thing that worried him was little Kono. The little guy lost a grandfather, but Naruto could have done something to prevent the Sandaime's death. He knew about the invasion beforehand, but did he warn the Hokage? No, so in theory, Naruto is technically a traitor. But who is the real traitor? The Sandaime or Naruto? Naruto guessed the former for his lies against him. He could have removed his mask for the sake of others, but where would that get him? If he saved the Sandaime, little Kono would probably just give him gratitude. That isn't what Naruto wants. He wants more power. Man, he sounds just like Sasuke. But he wants power to protect what's important to him. That doesn't sound like Sasuke. Naruto was a little worried for little Kono, but eventually he'll bounce back, or at least he should. If Naruto could bounce back after getting beaten all the time, then so should Konohamaru. With the Sandaime dead, Naruto knew there was another Hokage needed. And the opportunity came when Jiraiya told him he was going to look for Tsunade. Naruto left with Jiraiya while they left behind the village. Naruto was so tempted to just ditch Jiraiya and go to wherever he wants, but he would abandon the people he cares about. Naruto decided to find Tsunade as planned, and eventually Jiraiya taught Naruto the Rasengan. What the hell? Why didn't he train him in this technique too during the 1 month of the Chunin exams? The Gamma Sannin wasted so much of Naruto's time that month. Naruto could have learned a good 3 jutsus from the library in that time. Bless you, Kage Bunshins. But no, Jiraiya had to waste that good month. Naruto didn't like the Gamma Sannin at all for wasting his good time. He could match Sasori's dislike of wasted time. While he learned the Rasengan in secret, Naruto made several Kage Bunshins to learn the Rasengan. It didn't take long, and by a stroke of luck, a clone of Naruto gotten tired enough to accidentally drop a water balloon and to watch a cat push said water balloon back and forth. That gave the clone the first step as about rotation. After he learned the first stage of the Rasengan, Jiraiya and Naruto made their way to an apartment, where Jiraiya apparent had that perverted look in his eye again. And to Naruto's annoyance, the Gamma Sannin left to follow a woman who apparently liked him. Didn't Jiraiya see that woman was under a genjutsu? Yeah, Naruto knew the woman was under a genjutsu before Jiraiya did. Naruto was that good, or probably the Sannin thinks with his perverted mind first before his shinobi mind. But the blonde only thought it was some ninja's prank to get the girl in some deep trouble with the Sannin. So he let it slide, but he regretted it when Sasuke's older brother came around to his apartment. Oh crap. He should have told Jiraiya about the genjutsu, big time. Itachi. Naruto knew Itachi in his early years. The Akatsuki member was one of the Anbu who would watch over him in his childhood. In all honesty, Naruto loved Itachi for protecting him, as in a big brother figure. Itachi would always divert the mob away with a genjutsu, not that Naruto knew that at the time, but Naruto was so very grateful for Itachi's protection. And when he left during the Uchiha massacre, Naruto felt vulnerable. Naruto didn't know why the Uchiha clan massacre started, after all he was only 6, but he knew Itachi had to be innocent. Itachi protected him and Naruto wanted to bring Itachi home, where he belongs. But he knew he had no chance to ever bring Itachi back home in years. Naruto was hesitant of fighting Itachi. He wasn't afraid of him and he knew he would die against Itachi, but he couldn't help but feel saddened that he had to fight against someone who protected him. But then the most idiotic human being came around. This human being was so absolutely stupid in Naruto's opinion. This person was so absolutely retarded as to step in the path of an S-ranked criminal. Sasuke came around the corner. The freaking idiot used an assassination jutsu on Itachi on a frontal assault. The moron had absolutely no chance against Itachi, and Naruto knew this so very well. The guy was an Anbu captain when Sasuke and himself graduated from the academy. Sasuke had absolutely no chance whatsoever in such a short time after graduating to even hope of matching the S-ranked ninja. Heck, even if the entire Team 7, without Naruto's mask, can't match Itachi. Naruto was sure of that. Heck, he was even sure having the entire Konoha 12 with their senseis can't beat him. He was that confident in Itachi's skill. Any hope for Naruto having any form of respect for Sasuke went down the drain when he kept trying to fight against Itachi. Didn't he see that it was hopeless to fight against a person who was stronger than yourself? Sasuke's beatdown was so quick and decisive. Sasuke's wails and cries were joy to Naruto's ears. Yeah, Naruto's slowly grew sadistic, but his joys were cut short when Jiraiya came around. Naruto was a bit unhappy about that, but hey, Itachi would have came after him a few moments later if he hadn't come around. And a short little display of a summons and Kisami's swing later, Itachi fled the scene with a weird jutsu. The result left behind black flames. Black flames. Naruto didn't know what to make of that, and when Jiraiya told him not to touch it, he knew that black flames is a dangerous thing. Regardless of the mysterious fire, Naruto had one question. Why? Why did Itachi and that blue guy want to capture him? Naruto guessed it was the Kyuubi. All his problems always rooted to the Kyuubi. It always did. Then another strange thing came around. A dynamic entry to Jiraiya's face. Oh yeah, go Miyato guy. Tell that Jiraiya who's boss. Show the toads the power of youth. After he mentally slapped himself silly with the youth stuff, Naruto always thought Miyato guy is a far better sensei than Kakashi. Naruto spied on his team from time to time and was jealous and envious of Maida's teachings. Maida would never give favoritism of his student, and Naruto wanted that trait in Kakashi, but it wasn't to be. And then Guy told him about Kakashi falling in a coma. Who cares about the copy ninja? All he did was leave him behind for Sasuke. Kakashi could rot in the Shinigami's belly for all Naruto cares. Then Guy whisked a wasted Sasuke away. Good riddance. A good night later, Jiraiya introduced him to the second stage of the Rasengan. It was certainly harder, but his chakra was already powerful. He just needed to keep his mask on to prevent Jiraiya from knowing his true strength. Naruto didn't trust the Gamma Sannin to know of his true self. And then they found the next Hokage. In first impressions, Naruto would have ditched the old woman in a heartbeat, but when she insulted the Hokages. Nah. Naruto didn't care either. He lost his faith and respect of the Yondaime when he found out the man sealed the Kyuubi inside of him. It sickened him that he had to be used like this. Now he had to suffer through a whole village's hatred because of that man. Why couldn't he put the Kyuubi in someone respected or at least loved like Sasuke? At least the hatred wouldn't be directed at him. At least he'll be left alone. Why him? Why couldn't it be someone else? Naruto exploded by Tsunade's blatant hatred of the village's Hokage. Naruto learned of the slug Sannin when he scrounged up any pieces of info during his first 3 years. It peeved Naruto that Tsunade broke her bonds with her surviving family just because his brother and lover died. Sure, Naruto would have been devastated by the losses too, but Naruto would have confined in the rest of his surviving family. He knew Tsunade had a father figure in the Sandaime. He knew Tsunade had 2 teammates who cared for her, but one turned traitor. Tsunade had lots of people who could have cared for her, but she chose to break every single bond just to avoid getting hurt. Naruto got hurt every day. He would love to have people who actually cared for him, but the old woman threw them all away. And then he learned about the deal about Orochimaru reviving Tsunade's dead ones. It helped to have the skills to hide from Anbu-level ninjas daily while having the Sannin's guards down for an old-fashioned eavesdrop. It sickened the blonde that the old woman would actually consider the hubby Tem's offer. Yeah, Naruto would love to know his parents and possibly have them revived, but it wouldn't be the same. He knew it within his bones that it would be wrong to bring his parents, whoever they are, back to life. Later, after taking yet another beating by a single finger of Tsunade's hand, Naruto had a bet to win. The bet was to finish the Rasengan within a week and so he gets the necklace and so on so forth. Naruto knew he could have gotten Tsunade to use her whole hand to prove her wrong that she needed a finger to beat him, but his mask was important. Again. A week later when he was resting, Shizune stormed into his apartment. She screamed that Tsunade left to go with the deal Orochimaru spun with her. Naruto was about to leave with her, but a kunai from Jiraiya stopped them. He nearly killed Shizune and collapsed. Jiraiya deserved the drug he gotten from the slug Sannin. After a talk between the three of them, they left to rescue Tsunade. Naruto wasn't really surprised that Kabuto was wailing on the old woman. It certainly angered Naruto that Kabuto would take advantage of Tsunade's hemophobia, but hey, it's the life of a ninja. Backstabs, shortcuts, and anything dirty is legal in such a profession. Jiraiya leapt to charge at Orochimaru to keep him busy. Naruto was grateful for that. It meant a special Chunin, a Chunin-level ninja, in Naruto's opinion, and a nearly shattered Sannin to take on Kabuto. Naruto saw Kabuto charge at Tsunade and him and Shizune intercepted him. It was the right thing to do. But nearly at the start of the fight, Kabuto managed to knock Shizune out. This caused Naruto to fight Kabuto alone. Naruto was sure he can give Kabuto for a run for his money and die in the cause, but his mask was important to him. He wanted to show the world what the dead last can do. And so, Kabuto started to pummel Naruto, taunted him that he's a no-good ninja. Those words means nothing to him. Those words was once said to him so, oh so, many times. He knew those words too well and sure they put him down so freaking many times, but he got back up. He got back up and he will prove that he isn't a loser. He will come out on top. Kabuto then taunted that Sasuke is a much greater ninja than him. What bull crap. Naruto was going to show the world that Naruto Uzumaki is far better than Sasuke Uchiha. And the Uzumaki clan will crush the Uchihas. It's the divine will of the Uzumakis. He took Kabuto's beatings just like the villagers did. And it didn't hurt very much. The villagers were so much worse. They would use anything in their disposal. Kabuto just used his fists. Kabuto kept taunted, and taunted him to just give up and die, but he wasn't going down without changing the world. He was going to do something about it. He wasn't going to die without the world know exactly who Naruto Uzumaki is. But then, he heard Tsunade's screams. She pleaded and begged him to just run and save himself. He heard her wails to abandon everyone here and let Kabuto and Orochimaru kill Jiraiya, Shizune, and herself. He saw something in Tsunade's eyes that pleaded him to do this. He saw that she wanted Naruto to live. To live. That feeling. A woman who wants him to live and let her die. He didn't know it, but that is a maternal feeling. Naruto wasn't going to back down and let anyone die. He remembered letting Haku die when he had the chance of stopping him. He remembered letting Hayate die when he had the chance of saving him. The Anbu was just a call away. There was no way he was going to let another person die when he can do something about it. He let his mask slip. Just this once. Just this once he's going to save someone and no one is going to stop him. Kabuto charged at him with a kunai knife. He saw him coming. Tsunade screeched for him to run, to flee, to get away from it all. Not a chance. Kabuto thrusted his kunai. He hoped Naruto would die. Naruto caught the kunai in his left hand. He felt the heat of blood drip down his hand. He formed a kage bunshin with a single seal with his other hand. Poof, a clone formed right next to him. With his right hand, a Rasengan was born. But he added a little extra something in it. What he did gave his Rasengan a red spark and that spark diffused itself along the entire Rasengan. And he slammed the Rasengan into Kabuto's chest while he roared out, Rasengan. Kabuto flew back and slammed into a rock, but he didn't go down. Good. Then Kabuto went down by chakra exhaustion. Better. But suddenly, Naruto went down with him. Bad. What happened? Everything went according to plan and suddenly Naruto found himself on the ground. Dot. 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 He woke up to see himself in a hospital. What exactly happened? He found out by a talk with Tsunade. Naruto was really grateful for the save of his life. And after he bugged Tsunade when he claimed she was not worth enough to be Hokage, they left for Konoha. Secretly, Naruto felt something from Tsunade. Could it be? He didn't know. But Tsunade just had to go to a hot spring right after all that business. Naruto wanted to go back to Konoha to start his training, but nope. Tsunade practically whined to go to the hot springs to relax. Then another weird group of people came around. Two ninjas by the name Senta and Bunzo Akaji. Naruto felt his heart cry out for those two when he is told they can't return home if they can't retrieve the debt Tsunade owes. Okay. Tsunade's debts were seriously overwhelming and annoying to him and to other people. But Naruto didn't really care. He only helped those two because it was the right thing to do. Curse his hero's complex. But something came out of that little adventure. Loyalty. He noticed how kind and nice Shizune is. She hanged herself as her master to help deal with this problem. Shizune definitely didn't hold any sort of animosity towards him and he liked that. It warmed his heart that Shizune would take such a risk to protect her master. He always wanted to be in Tsunade's position, just to feel what it feels to have someone protecting you. To keep Naruto safe. But he has no one that was willing to help him. And then they returned to Konoha where she was immediately inaugurated and all that political stuff. And then she lied about his parents. He knew she had to know his parents, or maybe not. He wasn't sure anymore. He remembered the names he read on that paper he read all those years ago. Minato Tem. The bastard who ruined his life. He was never given the chance of a normal life. He was somewhat unhappy he died during the Kyuubi attack. It meant he never got the chance to give Minato a rightful beating. Kushina Uzumaki. Uzumaki. She's family in some way. But what? Naruto didn't know. He didn't even have a picture of her. He only had names to go off of and he wondered if Kushina was even alive. Naruto found out she ended up marrying Minato. That made him a bit upset, disappointed, a bit angered. Naruto decided to just see Kushina as Kushina, and not as Minato Tem's wife. But if she supports Minato Tem then the gloves are off. She will be named Kushina Tem in his eyes. What the fuck? Naruto. Naruto should have been. Tsunade was lost for words as Shizune held her tears. Tsunade-sama, what's this? Shizune asked and indicated a certain piece of the folder that was leaning out a bit further than the others. Tsunade pulled the paper out and stopped her tears when she saw who it was addressed to. Dear the Godime Hokage, if you are reading this, be wary of who is with you in the room. This letter's purpose is to tell you the dangers of being in this seat. Behind your back is the Civilian Council and the Honorable Council, whom are responsible for dozens of actions across the elemental nations. The head of these councils is Danzo, who staged the assassinations and sabotage of dozens of missions of various villages including our own. I know this letter will, or should reach, the Godime Hokage. The enigma that is Naruto-kun Uzumaki will draw the Godime to gather this record of him for the sake of answers. However, before I go to such a dangerous topic that is named Danzo, let me address the subject of one Naruto Uzumaki, or rather Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. To my and the village's shame, we have shamed the name of our hero, my successor, and your predecessor, Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage. The villagers have spat upon his sacrifice and disobeyed his last request by shunning the son of our hero. Naruto has lived a life that would destroy the sanity of any man including myself. Naruto-kun. Poor Naruto-kun's been beaten, shunned, spitted on, given poor quality food in such ridiculous prices, and lived without parents to love or care for him. I must ask to whoever is the Godime Hokage to protect this boy, who deserved none of this, with your life. I failed to do this because of my old age and because of the council. The reason why I asked you to protect this child. Because Naruto is the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko. There are people who want what's inside of him, and I'm afraid Danzo is one of them. He continuously hounded me for the right to train Naruto-kun, but I knew better. He was lying because of his root program. Jiraiya had discovered his root forces from the outside and warned me of this, bless his perverted soul. I wish I could kill Danzo, but he holds too much influence, and if he were to suddenly die, chaos would result in his death, and I fear I can't stop it. Danzo's root program is basically a program where ninjas are harshly trained to never feel emotion. Such a life cannot survive in this world, and Danzo is a fool for not understanding that. But the shame belongs to me. I had ordered the root program faulty and thus disbanded. However, Jiraiya told me Danzo still has his root shinobi. I should warn you, Danzo's root shinobi are completely emotionless, and they will not hesitate to kill their target without a second thought. These kinds of shinobi are not human or worthy of the title shinobi. Over the course of his life, Danzo had asked me dozens of times if he could train Naruto-kun. I cannot allow Naruto-kun that kind of life. He already suffered so much in his young life, and to fully remove his emotion would be a great dishonor to our great Yondaime Hokage. I simply must beg to whoever is reading this to protect young Naruto-kun. If not for Hiruzen Sarutobi, then do it for the Sandaime Hokage, then do it for the Shodai Hokage, then do it for the Nadaime Hokage, then do it for our greatest Hokage yet. The Yondaime Hokage. We all owe it to the Yondaime to preserve his legacy, who is related to 3 of the Hokages. Naruto-kun is related to the Shodai Hokage via his great-grandfather. Naruto-kun is related to the Nadaime Hokage via his great-grand-uncle. Naruto-kun is the Yondaime's very own son. We owe it to the Shodai, Nadaime, and the Yondaime to preserve their legacy. For an unknown amount of time, Danzo has sabotaged dozens of missions and has prevented a many great deal of things which I would want to prevent. Danzo passed a law for the academy. This law states every student has to perform the 3 basic ninjutsu. I knew the main point of this was to sabotage Naruto-kun's efforts of passing the genin exams in order to get Naruto in his grasp, but to my surprise, Naruto was given a headband from Iruka after the Mizuki incident. The Mizuki incident truly has brought hope in my old heart. Naruto-kun beaten a Chunin by using a kinjutsu known as the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. With this technique, he overwhelmed Mizuki, a Chunin might I add, and beaten him in a bloody pulp. I was greatly overjoyed when Iruka given Naruto-kun his headband. I repaid Iruka's kindness by secretly raising his salary. He probably noticed his increase in money by now, but it matters not. That day gave me hope, and unknown to Iruka, he bested Danzo that day. He bested somebody who sabotaged the lives of many people, including my students' lives. Iruka beaten Danzo by allowing Naruto-kun to become a ninja, and thus a ninja under my control. As long as Naruto-kun's a ninja under the Hokage's rule, he will be safe. Now, what I meant by the sabotage of my students' lives is the sabotage of Jiraiya's spy networks. Danzo searched high and low to sabotage anyone who got in his way, and Danzo seems to see Jiraiya's spy network as a threat. In secret, Danzo attempted to convert Jiraiya's spy network, only to fail when Jiraiya himself came around and threatened Danzo to stop. I told Jiraiya not to kill him, and thanked Kami he did. It would have caused a lot of trouble. If Danzo ever died, it would cause a power vacuum and war would become a possibility. I cannot stop a war, but perhaps you, the Godime, can. Danzo never really tried to do anything with Orochimaru, but it is likely Orochimaru and Danzo made deals behind my back. No, wait, I assume they performed dealings behind my back. Both my former student and teammate will already have done dealings behind my back. I am sure of it because of Danzo's right eye and arm. I cannot frisk him because he's such a high-standing figure. It would only bring my end if I attempt to bring Danzo into question. Kaharu and Homura will be sure of that. Then came Tsunade. She never deserved any of Danzo's dealings. What I mean is the day Dan, Shizune's uncle, died. Dan's been poisoned before he left for his mission with my student Tsunade. I only noticed it afterwards when I discovered Danzo was doing one of his evil deeds behind my back, but like before, my hands tied by the council. This poison isn't like any other. Whenever the afflicted person is under the effects of a medical technique, the victim's body would reverse the effects. Instead of healing, the victim was dying. So when Tsunade tried to heal him, it's needless to say anything further. Tsunade and Shizune didn't even bother to read the rest of the letter. Angel filled their minds as they read the letter Sarutobi gave them. That bastard. Tsunade snarled and grinded her teeth. Hot tears already started to fall as she remembered the day Dan died, but grief filled her soul because she discovered that she wasn't such a great medic after all. If Dan really got poisoned that day, she would have noticed, right? Today, she wasn't so sure. How? How could he? Shizune demanded angrily. Dan was the only person who cared for her ever since she was orphaned. Shizune. I'm so sorry. Dan's death was all my fault. I should have known about the poison in Dan's system that day, but I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. Tsunade apologized as hot tears fell from her eyes. Shizune turned to Tsunade with the look of pain etched on her face. Tsunade. Shizune said without the sama suffix. Without the sama suffix, Tsunade assumed the worst and believed Shizune will blame her for her uncle's death. Tsunade saw Shizune raise her fist as if to strike her. Tsunade closed her eyes, awaiting for the pain of failing her apprentice, but to her confusion she didn't feel pain. Instead, she felt warmth, comfort even. It's not your fault, Tsunade-sama. Danzo. That bastard's responsible for his death. Shizune assured and hugged her sensei. Shizune, Tsunade said calmly and opened her amber eyes. Shizune stared to detect a growing killer intent brewing within Tsunade. Call the Civilian Council and the Honorable Council. It's time we end this now. At once and with pleasure, Tsunade-sama. Shizune nodded and stomped away with hot tears welling in her eyes. Danzo. You're as good as dead. We will assure your death soon enough. Shizune and Tsunade thought in anger. Tsunade noticed there was more to the letter and decided to finish it, and what she saw made her gasp. The Civilian Council and the Honorable Council sat agitatedly on their chairs after being called by the Hokage's assistant. There was 9 of them in all, enough to overrule the Shinobi Council, which consisted of 6. Tsunade discovered as the Hokage, her vote counts as 2, however, the civilians can still overrule the Shinobi even if the Shinobi Council unites with the Hokage. It would still turn out a 9-8 vote with the civilians as the 9. The members of the Civilian Councils consists of 6 people, one being notable as her pink hair, Sakuko Haruno. The rest of the 5 are for Danzo's uses for overthrowing the Hokage and the Shinobi's rule. The Honorable Council is made up of Danzo Shimura, Homura Mitokado, and Kaharu Udatane. All 9, together, can overthrow any movements of politics or shinobi matters into civilian matters. Why the hell are we here? Sakuko demanded, or rather screeched. She wore a red long-sleeve kimono and pink pants. Her hair is pink much like her daughter's, and her voice is screechy after screeching for Danzo for so many years. Tsunade has called for a meeting, Sakuko. We will find out what she asked of us soon enough. Homura assured calmly. Whatever it is, I hope it's short. We all know Tsunade will probably demand a casino or a bigger bar. Kaharu chuckled lightly. Others joined in while thinking about what they could do next. Silence, Kaharu. Tsunade wouldn't call us here if it wasn't important. Danzo said and cleared his throat, but we have a new challenge. Tsunade is young, unlike Hiruzen, and she isn't going to get manipulated so easily. We will have to proceed with caution. After he finished, The door burst open with Tsunade's legs still extended from kicking it. Tsunade entered the room with Shizune and glared at each of the civilians. Nice to make a grand entrance, huh, Tsunade? Sakuko remarked. It's Hokage-sama to you. Tsunade snapped and sat on her chair. Now let's get to the point. Why are you people sabotaging Naruto's life? Instantly the room turned cold and raged voices shouted from each person. How dare you, Tsunade? That demon brat doesn't deserve any mentioning in this room. That demon brat must die. That monster must die for killing my child. Your predecessor would want that brat to die. Danzo calmly watched as he let the dogs of his politics hound Tsunade. He watched as Tsunade's pent-up anger rose. Enough. That so-called demon brat done so much me. He saved my life. He saved the life of your Hokage. You damn people should have been grateful for the sacrifices he makes for you stupid and arrogant people. Every day he keeps the Kyuubi at bay and saving your worthless hides. Every day, he goes through the same thing and suffers beating after beating, and worst of all, it's not even his fault. It's the fault of your damn lives. Every day he bears through your pointless hatred. You should have been praising the grounds of his feet because of what he did for you. He might not hate you people, but I do. This ends today. Shizune. Anbu. Restrain these bastards. Tsunade roared and leapt for Danzo. Shizune threw Senbon needles at the other 8 with extreme accuracy, paralyzing them by impaling their necks. The Anbu actually hesitated on following her command, but another roar got them started. Anbu. Restrain all these traitors of the leaf. Tsunade charged at Danzo at breakneck speed and threw a chakra-enhanced punch straight for Danzo's head. Danzo never expected Tsunade to react violently, and so. Splat. Danzo's head collided with the wall and exploded between the force of Tsunade's fist and the wall. That was for Dan, you sick bastard. Tsunade spat and turned to the other 8 who had horror etched on their faces. Tsunade saw them with a Senbon needle in their necks. They would have laid on the floor paralyzed if it wasn't for the Anbu holding their hair. Tsunade. Why you can't do that? Kaharu protested weakly. Oh, shut the hell, you damn bitch. Tsunade spat and glared. Do you know what happened to Dan when he died? Kaharu couldn't stop the tears flowing from her eyes as she began to wet herself because of the overwhelming killer intent that flew in the room. She noticed it wasn't just her that was sending the killer intent and saw Shizune having this dangerous look in her eyes. Kaharu knew she was either going to be punished for her folly or die. Like her fellow councilwoman, Sakuko Haruno can only stare in absolute horror of what she just witnessed. Seeing Danzo's head splat against the wall wanted her to puke up her afternoon lunch, but couldn't due to the Senbon in her neck. It also wasn't helping that there was an extremely large killer intent directed at her and her fellow councilman. Homura didn't feel the need to vomit because of his former ninja training, but seeing Tsunade splattering Danzo's head on the wall was a gruesome sight, even to his standards. The other 5 civilian councilmen and women all trembled in fear as Tsunade leaked out a vicious amount of killer intent. I don't know, Tsunade, Kaharu started, but Tsunade snarled at her. I am Hokage-sama to you, wench. Tsunade backhanded Kaharu with chakra in her hand. The blow left a black bruise mark on her cheek. Now do any of you know of Danzo's dealings behind my sensei's back? The Godime Hokage demanded. Why yes. Kaharu admitted while being petrified by fear. Danzo purposely sabotaged Naruto-san's life. Kaharu didn't think it was smart to call Naruto the demon brat in her current situation, because Danzo could make Konoha the greatest village in the nations if he could get the chance to train him. Yet you guys didn't think things through, did ya? Konoha is already the strongest village. Isn't that enough for you sick bastards? Even if Danzo completed his quest for domination, that would only lead to another problem. Danzo's idealism of peace through war is a waste of time. There would only be another revolutionary, and if Danzo kills the poor guy, that person will become a martyr. Then it'll be a pointless cycle of death and decay. But I'm done talking about this pointless idealism. I want answers as to why Danzo poisoned Dan. Tsunade demanded. Homura cleared his throat, which brought Tsunade's attention. I'll answer that, Hokage-sama. Danzo saw you as a threat to his plans. So he poisoned Dan-san to rid of you from Konoha. He knew after the death of Nawaki-sama and Dan-san, you would come to hate the village and leave. This village reminds you too much of what you lost, and Danzo took advantage of that. Homura explained. There was a few tremors in his voice, but Tsunade didn't care. Tsunade turned to Sakuko, who wanted to fidget under her terrifying gaze. And you, Sakuko Haruno, what should I do with you? Tsunade cupped her own chin and thought about it. Let me go, Sakuko asked timidly, and in hopes Tsunade would free her. Kill them, Tsunade ordered, much to the civilians' cries and pleas for forgiveness. Wait, I have a daughter. Let me live, please. Let me live for her. If you kill me, my poor baby Sakura-chan will get orphaned. Sakuko pleaded desperately. The Anbu was about to kill her if it wasn't for Tsunade. Stop, Tsunade ordered, and the Anbu who nearly killed Sakuko with a kunai. Do you know how much of a hypocrite you are? Naruto-kun was an orphan since birth. I think Sakura can survive a life without parents. Tsunade said coldly. Wait, please Tsunade-sama. Let me live. I'll live a life of disgrace if you spare me. Sakuko pleaded desperately. Why yeah, please, let us live. Another civilian pleaded. You people make me sick. First you pick on a little child, and here you are pleading for mercy. Second, you all go behind the back of your Hokages. There is a reason why Konoha stood higher than all the other villages, and the cause isn't the dark dealings from behind your back. You're all a disgrace to Konoha. I hereby sentence all of you to death for the mistreatment of the Yondaime's son, disobeyed a last request of the Yondaime's wishes, and following the traitor Danzo. Tsunade claims. The civilians stunned after hearing Naruto is the Yondaime's son. The Kyuubi brat's the Yondaime's son. Impossible. A civilian screeched, only to get slapped by Shizune. Yes. Naruto-kun's the Yondaime's child. Shizune claims, much to the civilians' growing fears. Naruto's san cannot be the Yondaime's child. Sakuko shouted. He's Naruto-sama to you. Naruto-kun looks just like his father. You'd got to have no eyes to not see the resemblance to his father. Shizune shouted and punched Sakuko in the face. If we had known Naruto-sama was the Yondaime's son, we'd, Sakuko said in an attempt to form an excuse. You're just making up excuses. There is nothing that excuses you to beat up a child. Shizune shouted and held her great urge to kill this woman. You're all monsters for beating up Naruto-kun. Shizune raised her hand and held a Senbon needle. She was about to plunge that Senbon into this woman's skull if it wasn't for Tsunade. Shizune, stop. Tsunade roared. But Tsunade-sama. Shizune protested. Don't worry Shizune, you'll have your chance. Tsunade assured and turned to the civilians. Where's Danzo's root base? Tsunade demanded. She thought she could get all the information on Danzo if he ever recorded information at his base. The Anbu began to whisper amongst themselves. Root. One Anbu wondered. However, one of the Anbu recognized the name. Root. Hokage-sama. When did you know of this? The second Anbu asked. Root's destruction was an order from the Sandaime to shut down. How is it still operational? Danzo lied and betrayed the Sandaime. And these fools blindly followed him. Danzo's root program was operational even after the Sandaime's demand. Danzo is a traitor no matter how you put it. The one-eyed fool was taking potential shinobi for his root program. Tsunade claimed. So Danzo was siphoning our numbers for his own uses. That traitor. Hokage-sama. How did you find out? Another Anbu snarled and glared at the dead and somewhat headless body of Danzo. Enough. I found out through Jiraiya. Tsunade shouted to her Anbu and glared at the civilians. Where is his base? Tsunade demanded while putting emphasis on each word. Will you let us go? A civilian weakly bargained. No. Tell me, or do I have to send for Ibiki to play in your minds? Tsunade threatened. All the civilians paled, even Kaharu and Homura paled into a sheet of white. It's at the outskirts of Konoha. Now please let me live. Sakuko broke down and sobbed to herself. Tsunade bent down to her level and whispered in her ear. Not a chance. Sakuko felt a tremor of fear and watched as Tsunade gave the order, Shizune, kill them. Shizune got this glint in her eyes and her mouth grew into a sinister grin, with pleasure. Wait, Hokage-sama. You can't do this. Kaharu protested. Shizune was about to kill her when Tsunade held her hand up. Tsunade glared at her and sneered. I am the Hokage. My word is law, and I say the civilian council is disbanded and executed as traitors. Tsunade decreed and walked out of the room. Without anything impeding her, Shizune began her reign of terror. Tsunade returned to her office after washing her hands clean of Danzo's blood. She felt satisfied after killing the bastard who poisoned her love life. She glanced at the piece of paper that started this business. She sighed and remembered what it finished with. So when she tried to heal him, it's needless to say anything further. Tsunade, I wished I could do more, but all I have is a suggestion that will cure your problems. If you are not Tsunade, then could you be so kind as to tell Tsunade to adopt Naruto as her son? I know, through Naruto's bright attitude and determination, he'll be good for her. He will fix all her problems in time. I wished I could tell her this in person, but she left before Naruto was born. From the Sandaime Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the professor, sensei of the Sannin, a father, a grandfather, and a failure. Tsunade sat there, absorbing what she just read. She definitely considered the option of adopting Naruto. If Naruto fixed so many of her problems in such a short time, perhaps Naruto can do more. She's willing to bet Naruto would love to get adopted and she could finally learn to live a life of a parent. Yeah, Tsunade can see a future with Naruto as a son. Perhaps, Shizune could even be a sister figure. Yeah, having Naruto in her daily life is a good idea. Shizune, are you done yet? Tsunade asked loudly. She waited for a while until Shizune came back with her breathe-in labor. Tsunade saw Shizune have a few streaks of blood on her cloths, but what broke Tsunade's heart was the tears falling from Shizune's eyes. Come here, Shizune. Tsunade beckoned Shizune over and hugged her tightly. Tsunade-sama. Shizune cried on Tsunade's shoulder. It's okay, Shizune. Let it out. Tsunade cooed and cupped her chin and forced Shizune to look into her eyes. Shizune, I got the perfect plan for us to recover with okay. Tsunade assured. Shizune nodded in her sensei's arms. What's the plan? Shizune asked and Tsunade gave a soft smile. You'll see tomorrow. Tsunade assured. After the sun set and rose back up, Tsunade and Shizune are back in the office. Both cleaned themselves up after their little incident from yesterday and ready to encounter the day after their mess with the civilian council. So, the plan, Tsunade-sama? Shizune asked. Just wait. Tsunade smiled. Suddenly a knock brought their attention to the door and abruptly Naruto walked in with a grin on his face. Hey Ba-chan. I'm here to say Sakura-chan's not feeling very good and I'm here for a mission. Naruto announced. Shizune and Tsunade had this gloomy look when Sakura's mentioned. Shizune did feel a little guilt when she killed Sakura's mother, but the woman deserved it. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I have to decline your request for a mission. Tsunade denied and instantly Naruto exploded. What did I do? I swear I didn't do anything, I didn't play a prank in months and I swear I didn't peep on the women's side of the spa. Naruto confessed and collapsed on his elbows on Tsunade's desk. Tsunade only smiled softly by her future son's reaction. Naruto, I want to ask you a very important question and I want you to answer in honesty. Got that? Tsunade informed. Naruto nodded, but was clueless as to where this was going. There is a person who want to. Tsunade smirked as she drawn this out. Want to what Ba-chan? Naruto asked curiously. The old lady comment had no effect as Tsunade smirked by her future son. Soon that Ba-chan will turn into a Ka-chan. Who wants to adopt you? Tsunade informed softly as Naruto froze. Shizune gasped and wondered who would want to adopt him. Naruto blinked away the tears forming in his eyes. Who? Naruto asked in hope. The news of somebody wants him in a part of their life shocked him beyond belief. Never in his life had anyone spared him a glance in the orphanage and to have a person who wishes to adopt him. It's needless to say Naruto's quite happy with the news. This person wants to adopt you because of the changes you made to her life. Tsunade said. Her. A mother. Naruto noted. Shizune gasped as she got the memo. You saved her life in more ways than one. You saved her will of fire, you saved her from a phobia, and best of all. Tsunade dramatically paused again much to Naruto's irritation. Who Ba-chan? Who? Naruto demanded. You saved her from Akage's worst enemy. Tsunade finished much to Naruto's stunned reaction. Naruto stood there, his mouth gaped wide open as he remembered what happened yesterday. Why you? Naruto stood there, shocked of what he discovered. Here is his Hokage wanting to adopt him. Yes, Naruto-kun, or should I say Sochi? Tsunade asked with a warm smile. Silence. Total silence surrounded the room as Naruto stood there with his mouth gaping wide open. Well, aren't you gonna say any? Tsunade didn't get to finish what she was saying as Naruto crashed into her in a bone-crushing huge. I have Ka-chan. Me. A Ka-chan. Naruto cried incoherently as he hugged Tsunade tightly as if she was his lifeline. Shizune smiled softly by the sight of the two and couldn't help but feel a little jealous. And Shizune can become your sister. Tsunade said, which stunned both Naruto and Shizune. Any emotional defenses Naruto had in his childhood effortlessly shattered by the fact he's receiving a mother and a sister. He always wanted a family, and now he got one. I have a Nei-chan. A real Nei-chan. Naruto cried and hugged Shizune. Oh Tudo. Shizune returned Naruto's hug and turned to Tsunade. You planned this, didn't you? Her answer was a nod and a smile. Now all we have to do is sign this paper. Tsunade said and pulled out a piece of paper and signed her name. Now your turn, Shizune. Tsunade said and Shizune quickly wrote her name on the paper. Now your turn, Naruto, Tsunade said softly and turned the paper over. Naruto trembled as he stood over the paper. If he signs it, he finally gets a mother and a sister. Like he always wanted. He signed the paper. Naruto Uzumaki. Right after signing the paper, a Chunin burst open the door screaming, Hokage-sama. Minato-sama, Kushina-sama, and Naruko-sama are on their way.